My name is Tom. About 15 years ago, I was in really what was at the time a dream job for me. I work and did work in an industry which is probably one of the industries out there which is most focused on people and image. And about 6 weeks into this job, I went out to an event which had been put on by one of our major suppliers. And on the way back from that event, I was with some of my colleagues. We stopped at a local petrol station. Outside that petrol station, there was a dog that was tied up. And we all went into the petrol station, and I went about stroking this dog. As I moved away from the dog jumped up and hit me. My first reaction was this dog has hit me really quite hard in the face. I then took away my hand to see a jet of blood hit the floor about 4 feet away from me, and I thought, oh no, he's bitten me. Went to hospital in an ambulance, arrived at A&E, and when I was told that the reason that I hadn't been seen for some time was because the plastic surgeon was making his way over from his bed, I got a bit confused as to why I needed a plastic surgeon for essentially a couple of stitches. At which point my friend said to me, Tom, do you really know what's happened to you? And I said, well, I've just got a bit of a bad nosebleed. And one of the chaps said, what do you think's in this bag, Tom? And in the bag was 2 bags of frozen peas, and in between those frozen peas was the end of my nose. At which point the panic set in slightly. The end of the nose was taken from the 2 bags of bird's eye peas, placed back on my nose and reattached. Unfortunately, this didn't take, it went black, it got a bit smelly. What then happened was a whole series of appointments to the clinic. I think really the sort of worst of those was when for the first time the sort of bandages were taken off and I saw the full extent of the injury that I'd had, because up until then I hadn't actually physically seen it. And that repair work really was a long process of a number of operations. A flap of skin from my forehead was brought down over my nose to replace the piece that had been bitten off. There was also cartilage taken from my ear to help the structure of the nose look a little bit more normal. And then there were multiple procedures after that where the tip of the nose was sculpted and made to look more like a nose rather than a piece of forehead stuck on the end of a nose. And one of the things that really helped in that process as well was meeting other patients who had had traumas or disfigurements of their own. This was really helped by the art project, and you can see a lot of the art which is around today, which Ian facilitated. And that was a really cathartic process for me, to actually meet with other people and see the artwork and see behind the traumas that people had. And it helped me feel that perhaps other people would look at me in that same way, not just see the scars, but see beyond that. I had 2 particular things that I was anxious about when thinking about what my face would look like and what effect it might have on my everyday life. One of them was actually about going out to bars and nightclubs. Something I did quite a lot. I had this innate fear of getting to the door somewhere and the doorman taking one look at me and thinking, here's a guy that gets in too many fights, you're not coming in. That actually never, ever happened. The other thing I was anxious about was job interviews. That all-important first impression. I interview people quite a lot. In what I do, I have to be honest, not just on their facial appearance, of course, but I generally make up my mind as to whether I think someone's right for the job in the first few minutes of an interview. Both of those fears that I had proved to be unfounded. Since the injuries happened, I also met my wife. She has only ever known me with a funny face. We've also had 2 wonderful children, and they know me as who I am. They don't question my nose or my face any more than they question my taste in music or the way in which I dance around the kitchen. And with regards to to the work that NFORC are doing, I think if surgeons can better share knowledge, insight, and data to help people get the sorts of results that I've had, then I'm certainly supportive of that.
This is absolutely brilliant, creating the world's first ever research centre dedicated to this most socially sensitive part of our body, which will collect major data and organise research to improve patient treatment worldwide. Well done, Saving Faces.